What's up, you guys? Most of you probably know that I celebrated nearly a decade of blissful marriage last year to my awesome wife, Lydia. But I'd be willing to bet that most of you don't know how it got started. First, I want to give a shout out to my Aunt B, who gave me this awesome swag. She's the youngest of 7 kids, and being the baby myself, I feel like I can connect with her on a different level. Thanks, Aunt B, for thinking about me. It was the first day of school in the late aughts. I was too cheap to buy a parking pass. Lydia just got back from studying abroad, didn't have any money to buy a parking pass, so of course we had to park a couple blocks away. And this girl comes up behind me and gives me just a little. So I kindly remind her that if I can't have that parking spot, nobody can, and flip her the bird. And didn't think anything else of it. And I continue walking to campus. So imagine this. I walk into the building, not thinking anything of it. I'm going to move about my day. And of course, I go to the back of the classroom because that's who I am, right? So I'm sitting back here in the back of the classroom, looking forward. And there she is. She walks in. And I'm thinking, oh, great, this is awkward. And of course, we make eye contact as soon as she comes in. And she's a front row kind of girl, plus she was late to class because she couldn't find a parking spot, and those are the only seats that are open. And we go about our class, no big deal. Next thing you know, we're in a second class together. And as fate would have it, finally a third class, 3 classes before noon. But this is where fate really comes into play. The teacher sets us up in groups. And of course, again, I'm in the back, Lydia's in the front, and the teacher tells us to get in these groups to talk over some book that we were supposed to read. And she's like, oh, great, she's going to be a girl who has to do all the work again, like she has been doing, all through high school, whatever. But I open up the book, and there's writing in the margins, underlining, highlighting. Kind of impressive, right? So she doesn't know, oh, should I be intrigued? What is this guy? I thought he was a jerk. But who knows? Maybe he does some work, so let's feel it out a little bit. So she asked me, she's like, hey, did you read that already? I was like, no. I went to the bookstore the first day and flipped through all the books to see which one has the most writing, the most notes, so I don't have to take them. So I think I impressed her at that point. We exchanged numbers at that point and really didn't hang out until the end of the semester, when she shoots me a message and she asks me, she's like, hey, will you go to Wally's World and pick us up some drinks, come over and hang out for a little bit? Well, I still had a test to take the next morning, so I was like, sure. But I made sure she knew that I was keeping the change. Well, I ended up hanging out a little too long, had to sleep on the floor, and still get up the next morning to finish that whatever final it was. I don't remember which one it was, but I passed. That was it. And I guess she thought I was cool enough to start dating. And that, my friends, is how the Wild Bradburys began. And that's it. She invited me to a family wedding one weekend. We all seemed to get along okay, and now we're living happily ever after. But in all seriousness, Lydia, I love you a ton. I appreciate everything you do. And most importantly, I recognize that I got the better end of this deal. Thank you so much for being my partner, and I'm looking forward to many, many years to come.